Dikduk u'Masoret HaMikra, Parashat Nitzavim 1. The reference here is to Perek Kaftet, Pasuk Yud Aleph, right in the beginning. Le'ovrecha bevrit adoshem elokecha u'alato. The question is, what does Le'ovrecha really mean and signify here? The simple meaning, the simple translation in English is that you should pass as you make a covenant with God and also with the oath to God. Now the question is why le'ovrecha is meaning to pass. She comments the following. He says liyotecha over bevrit, that you have to pass in between whatever we're going to talk about. That what does that signify in order to establish the covenant with God? It doesn't mean that somebody else should pass or help you pass. You have to do it on your own. Le'ovrecha, the binyan is binyan kal la'avor, and it's not hifril. Le'avircha means hifril. It's done by somebody else. And the Ben Ezra also says it in some ways, the similar thing. He says it's shema po'al, the word le'ovrecha, shema po'al. It's a noun from the verb avar, from the verb la'avor, to pass. It means actually passing. You shall be passing through a certain path in order to establish and signify the covenant between yourself and HaKadosh Baruch Hu. She points out the following, which many of us, of course, remember, Parashat Lech Lecha, that in years past, during the time of the Tanakh, he says here, Kach hayu kortim berit osim mechitza mikan umechitza mikan ve'ovrim benatayim. That what used to be done in order to signify an agreement, it wasn't a handshake necessarily. They used to establish two types of sides. In other words, establish a path by putting some type of sides on in either part, to the left and to the right, and then you pass between those mechitzot. In the case of Abraham Avinu, it was he shechted, he slaughtered Agilah Meshuleshet, Ve'an Meshulash. He slaughtered the animals, put half on one side, half on the other side, and it's as if he walked through it. Also, it was a dream at the time. But and in Yirmiyahu, he mentions the same kind of thing. But that was a normal process in order to signify that a pact or a covenant would be made between two people, or in this case between Hashem, between ourselves, Am Yisrael, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So le'ovrecha means to pass in order to pass between the mechitzot, between the sides, in order to signify that you've entered a berit, you've entered a covenant with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The Ben Ezra brings an interesting point down about the word bevrit. He says, V'hineh milat avar behesaron bet lehefech. The way it's described here, if you eliminate or you leave off the first bet in the word bivrit, and you just have le'ovrecha berit instead of bivrit, the exact opposite meaning develops. How so? The le'ovrecha with bivrit means you pass through bivrit in order to establish that covenant. But le'ovrecha berit without the bet signifies in Hebrew that you have violated the covenant. Le'ovrecha berit. You over the berit, the agreement that you made. You over, you effectively do not uphold that berit. So that particular bet, when it's called bet of a letter of shimush, when that's there, it indicates that it's an establishment of a berit. When it's not there, it indicates the opposite, that you are violating and overruling the berit that you had. In this case, would have been Chas v'Shalom with the Kadosh Baruch Hu. So if it said le'ovrecha berit Hashem Elokecha, oh my God, that means that you have violated the covenant that you made with the Kadosh Baruch Hu. But le'ovrecha bevrit means this is the process of establishing the berit, of making it strong and continuing its foundation for the future.